Well, a very good afternoon to you all from the start-finish line at Sebring International Raceway, the spiritual home of sports car and endurance racing in North America. This is the World Racing League on DriversEye Live, and this is the Fall Sportscar Classic. My name is Brendan Kazmarek. Dustin Allis joins me on the production side of things this afternoon here at DriversEye Live. Happy to have everybody's company, whether you're with us trackside at our final spectator event of the 2025 season, or whether you're with us on YouTube as we go qualifying for what is the Eastern Championship finale weekend. The penultimate round of the National Championship, of course, still one more race to go at Circuit of the Americas once we wrap up here. But before we get that far, obviously we've got the minor detail of our last regional championship here, wrapping up with the fifth round of the Eastern Region Championship. And last we left you, we were at Watkins Glen International, where we were looking at the fall foliage. It was nice and cool, beautiful fall weekend up there in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. We trade the rolling hills and the fall colors for flat and grass, mostly. But this historic pavement and this circuit here at Sebring International Raceway always delivers something special for us here in the World Racing League. And I'm really looking forward to what we have on the docket again this weekend. For now, it's 30 minutes of qualifying. We'll knock out the GTO and GTU classes first, reset for an HPDE session, and then do it all again at 2:20 for the general production cars. It's GP1 and GP2. Where there's a lot of championship intrigue, it has to be said. A little bit for us here in GTO, GTU as well. We'll get there over the course of the weekend as we all begin flying laps with 30 minutes on the clock. You'll see that in the upper left-hand corner once we have something useful to send you. It should be just here in a moment. First up, it's the automatic racing number 90 and 908. I believe that multicolored car. And then the Stratus Trio, 58, 59, 60 all in a row, headed towards turn number one for the first time. That class full of Sebico NP01s, all at 9-to-1 power-to-weight ratio, which is exactly what we see in the GTO cars as well. Really good fight for third in the championship in GTU between the number one from Round 3 Racing and the pair of automatic racing 908, 909 cars. Should have pretty good pace out of these NPO1s here. Good braking zones, handful of medium speed corners really suit those lighter weight, albeit lower powered, prototype-shaped cars. Thinner GTO field than I think we'd be used to this weekend. We're up against quite a bit. Some USAC competition going up at VIR. Of course, the HSR Classic 24, where some of our friends are as well. Steve DeBrecht is up there. Jimmy Davis is up there as well. So a little bit thinner all around here this weekend at Sebring. Of course, this will shift back into October for 2026. That was tight. Not sure what the point of all that was, headed down into turn number 10. But that was the 40-48 competition NPO1, the car you're probably not used to seeing, because I think this is the first time they've been in the World Racing League. Headed into that turn 10 braking zone. I know the Stratus cars are looking to open that apex up on their first flying lap, but it's just the first flying lap. Plenty of time here to get things up to speed. So they work down towards turn 15 and 16, Jean de Bien Bend. The right-hander just in front of our camera here at Le Mans. We moved this camera down from last year, if you recall, dear viewer. Get you a little bit closer to the action. See the cars work their way right, left, back to right. And basically the only camber change on this track, catching out the off-leash motorsport number 40 Mercedes AMG GT4 there as they work back to the right-hand side for that turn 16 in this run down the 5/8 of a mile Ullman straight into turn number 17. I think I'm right in saying it's the same length as the straightaways at Indianapolis. Nice, neat number there. Down the front straightaway, first flying laps coming in. It's GTO cars mostly. Let's wait for those Stratus cars to put in their respective times. Live timing will be on over at redmist.racing. If you're not already following along over there. Get it to refresh here. There we go. ACP Tangerine Associates number 2 goes to the provisional pole, 217.936. And that BMW M4 GT4, another BMW with Forza Motorsport number 144 into second place. Off-leash Motorsports, 2.5 seconds further back at the moment. I'm sorry, not 2.5 seconds, just a tenth further back. 218.388 for that number 40. And now pole is reset in GTO by the number 91 FPRS Motorsports Ford Mustang at 217.821. A really good lap time there for the Ford Mustang to go just a tenth quicker than the ACP Tangerine Associates car. Then another 0.3 back to the Forza number 144. A tenth back to off-leash. Another tenth back to the GTU pole sitter, which at the moment stands as the number 1 from round 3 racing. And that pretty dramatic, excuse me, tremendous. It's traumatic is a combination of tremendous and dramatic, it turns out. Fight for third in GTU. Point standings are up over on Instagram at World Racing League. If you're not already following us there, please do that. Set yourself up for all the action this weekend. The Stratus Trio works their way into turn number 16. Let's pick up these GTO cars here in the background, Dustin. It's off-leash number 40, 144 from Forza Motorsport, working their way onto the back straightaway now, behind those NPO1s. Round 3 racing goes to pole 215.950 in the Porsche 911 991.2 GT3 Cup. Not the only 991 Cup here this weekend. Off-leash Motorsports number 41 had one on the dyno earlier this morning. Let's see if that car makes it out in time for qualifying. Forza comes through again. Do they improve? No, they don't. 222.7 is the best time for the 144. Stratus 58 and 60 go to the top in GTU. It's a 215.923, so neck and neck with the GTO class pole sitter. Stratus number 60 is about half a second off the back of the sister car number 58, a 216.4. So GTO, GTU, then GTU, GTO is the order overall if you're looking at it on timing for the moment. Then FPRS back to second now in GTO, an improvement from them, but it's an even greater improvement for the number 40 off-leash Motorsports Mercedes, 217.3. So we've shaved about half a second off of what was provisionally the class pole time, that number 70 car notwithstanding, for that off-leash Motorsports Mercedes, a pickup of around a second for that green and black car. It's a really good initial offering there from that number 40. Into the pits comes the number 91. I say this every time we go through these 30-minute sessions. The way that I think most GTO, GTU teams have, and for that matter, the production teams, have kind of found their way through these 30-minute sessions is to split it essentially into two. Go out, do a couple of good laps on a fresh set of tires if you have them at your disposal, or you'd like to use a set anyway. Get those couple of laps in. Once you've taken the best out of those tires, which is only usually about 3 or 4 laps, come in, maybe change driver and let another one have a crack at it. Maybe put on a new set of tires if you're really kind of lost in the weeds somewhere, and give it another go in the final 10, 12 minutes or so. Also the opportunity to use the rest of this session as a practice session, of course. Get that driver change done, or keep the same driver in, and just cruise around, find a good race pace, rather than really chasing these qualifying times that will, of course, set the grid for our start at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Round 3 racing resets the provisional overall pole time. It's a 2:15.7. 759 are the 3 digits there for the Porsche 911. Stratus 58, 59. I'm sorry, 58, then 60, then 59 is your top 3 now in GTU. Round 3 racing number 1 goes 4th in GTU. Round 3 racing 10 goes 5th. So all Stratus, then round 3 at the top, then automatic 908 and 909, P6 and P7. 40-48 competition on debut, and that number 148 goes P8 and Roberts Racing, and the number 109 down there having only set an outlap, it looks like. Good to have Roberts Racing back in that maroon number 109 NPO1. Heraflight is here this weekend as well. I did notice during lunchtime they were up on the dyno with a bunch of body panels pulled off that car, which suggested to me that car was probably not going to be ready for qualifying this afternoon, which is a bit of a shame, really, because that Heraflight car in particular, number 247, has been pretty tremendous in the opening stints. It does rely a bit on having a good start, and unfortunately, if it gets booted to the back of GTU by not having the ability to set a qualifying time due to some technical issue there, unfortunately, may just take the wind out of that kind of opening hour sail a little bit. It's been fun to watch over the last couple of rounds from Heraflight in that number 247. GTO, just to kind of reset things here, round 3 racing still circulating at the moment, actually now into the pit lane, just caught it there. Off-leash Motorsports, the number 42nd. Number 2, ACP Tangerine Associates, 3rd. FPRS Motorsports back to 4th now in that Ford Mustang GT4. Forza Motorsport back to P5. Number 52, ACP Tangerine Associates goes P6, just ahead of the Stoic Racing number 87. That's the first of the Toyota Supras, and I say just ahead because it's just about 0.06 of a second to choose between them at the moment in the mid-219s. Moorhead Speedworks in the number 291 Ginetta G56. Remember, that's the big V8-powered entry, that number 291. PMW Motorsports, Robert Ames listed as the driver on that car at the moment. In the number 72 BMW M4, that's the older spec M4. Top 10 rounded out by number 419 Hamofa Motorsport, which is, I believe I'm right in saying here, single-handedly putting the world in World Racing League this weekend. Not just crewed by a handful of Belgian drivers, but a Belgian-flagged team. Sponsored by Hamofa Industrial Engines, Hamofa Industrial Engines. They ran the 24 Hours of Zolder earlier on this year. It's a BMW M4 GT4. I was behind them in registration yesterday. Really excited to see how they get on. And it does appear to be a properly Hamofa crewed car. Not sure if they're receiving support this weekend from any local teams or U.S.-based teams, but very much does appear at the moment like that is a proper Belgian representative here in the World Racing League. And a mention of Belgium gives me the first opportunity of the weekend to mention the VW Fun Cup. We'll get to that more on Saturday and Sunday, believe you me. But it's good to have them here and good to see them up into the top 10. Rapscallion, number 669 in the Ligier JS2R in P11. And then Stanton Barrett Motorsports on debut, featuring the name of Indy 500 starter qualifier. Reaching deep into the memory there. But Stanton Barrett, NASCAR driver as well, number 130. Great to have them with us this weekend. It's a BMW M4 F82 there for Stanton Barrett Motorsports. Hello to everybody in the chat. Thanks for being with us. Scotty Elkins is with us. Hello, Scotty. Mike Anderson, just qualifying sessions today. Yes, it is. You also mentioned it's hot. Unfortunately, we had the warm front move through yesterday with a little bit of rain, kick all the temperatures up, higher than they really need to be this time of year, frankly. Just feels like summer here in Sebring. It's not as bad as summer. But, yeah, not pleasant here, I would say, for my thinned-out blood. Already well adapted to fall up in the Northeast, just like we had back at Watkins Glen. And then, of course, the temperatures are going to drop into the 60s by the time we leave here. And while I realize not everybody minds the warmer temperatures, our cameras do not love the warmer temperatures. So we're down a few at this point in the day. We should have them back up tomorrow, and the ones that are pointed directly at the sun, especially, will get a little bit of treatment overnight and should be good to go for tomorrow. By the way, that orange car you see leaving turn 1, we'll pick it up coming out of turn between 1 and 3 here. That is Heraflight. So they missed about the first half of this GTO GTU qualifying session, but were able to get that Sebico NPO1 out on track, as has Roberts Racing in the number 109, putting in representative times now, and up into P4. So it's a 3-car train at the front of Stratus, run entries. Then the Roberts Motorsports number 109 in GTU, round 3 racing 1 and 10, back to 5th and 6th now. Harrowflight just the 254, so that car's not up to operating speed just yet. Give it a couple of laps, and I think we'll see something pretty good from that number 247 here. No other improvements at the moment elsewhere in GT. Oh, that's not true. Simon Foweather in the number 72 from PMW Motorsports up into P8 displaces the Moorhead Speedworks number 291. Stanton Barrett up into P10 as well. That drops the Hamofa Motorsport number 419 down to P11 in the M4. Remember here as well, that Hamofa team. While you can do all of the simulator laps that you want in preparation for coming out here, the bumps are unlike anywhere else in the world. And with, well, presumably yesterday, if they ran the partner track day from Max Track Time here in the World Racing League, they will have had some extra opportunities to get to know Sebring. Otherwise, literally just half a day of running with that M4 GT4 here on 200 treadwear tires, which is not something that is really a thing. Street tire racing at the GT4 adjacent level elsewhere in Europe. So a lot to sort out here for that Hamofa number 419. And do anticipate some continued improvements for that car as we work through what is now just 12 and a half minutes remaining of qualifying here at Sebring International Raceway. JT Tammy's with us in the chat. At least it's not raining, Brendan. That is true. Although, I think I'd rather have it, to be honest with you, because rain usually means overcast, which means no sun, which means our cameras don't go down. So I think I'd take that. Although, I don't think the rain was particularly kind to us back at Watkins Glen. It made for a very chaotic Saturday in particular. Down a little bit of grip, especially up at the heel of the boot, made for a tough day up there. Do we have improvements from Harrowflight 247? No, not quite. 231.1 is that car's best time. Nugget Rev, at least there isn't a hurricane. This is where I'm contractually obligated to say I used to live in Florida, and the day I moved here, I moved into my college dorm in a tropical storm. 2008, Tropical Storm Faye. Sunny Daytona Beach. The best Daytona Beach ever looked. That's not true. Stanton Barrett Motorsports in the 130 improves now to 6th. 219.114 comes back through 219.2 this time, so no improvement that time around, but provisionally onto the third row of the grid for that number 130. It's a tremendous time, and especially bearing in mind that is the older spec BMW M4. So kind of similarly prepared to the PMW Motorsports number 72. It's good 0.8 of a second quicker than that 72. That's a really good time for that number 130. You almost wonder if it's Stanton Barrett himself. Made his living for a long time as a Hollywood stunt driver before turning over to, I don't know that you'd call it a professional racing career, but certainly a racing career in professional motorsports. And obviously, stunt driving is itself a motorsport. So it's a really good debut here for that Stanton Barrett 130. Otherwise, it's Porsche, Mercedes, BMW, Ford at the front of GTO. And remember, dear viewer, or dear listener, depending on where you are, this is an open technical rulebook here. It's 9-to-1 power to weight ratio on 200 treadwear tires. A lot of GT4 cars in the field this weekend, but nothing says you have to run them in homologated trim. And in fact, you can't in most cases because you've got to detune the car and or add ballast to get it to that 9-to-1 power to weight number. And in doing that, oftentimes you do have a little bit of customization. Same thing goes for that Porsche 911 991.2 Cup from round 3 racing. That is a proper GTO WRL car, as opposed to just being a slightly, let's say, detuned Porsche Cup entry. And so no balance of performance as such here in the World Racing League. As we've said on multiple occasions, it is the highest profile series, sports car racing series in the world that still allows for an open technical rulebook. Everything else, up to and including Hypercar, in WEC, GTP, and IMSA, is no longer open rulebook. It's all homologated. So get your fill of the technical bits and bobs here in the WRL while you can. Just under 9 minutes on the clock now. Currently following the 40-48 competition entry in the Heraflight, number 247. Roberts Racing in the number 109 coming through in the back of the shot there. Well, actually, it'll be here in just a second. There's round 3, number 10. Keep the eyes on live timing over at redmist.racing if you're not already following along there. For improvements. So far, not seeing much. If you're here at the track, just hanging out, watching qualifying, welcome. As we said earlier, last spectator event of the 2025 WRL season. Unfortunately, COTA is not a spectator-friendly event, but 90 cars on that entry list with flag-to-flag coverage here on DriversEye Live will be pretty tremendous weekend of racing regardless from all 4 classes. For that group of NPO1s here, Roberts Motorsports has cleared the 247 and the 148, with Heraflight having also cleared that 148. So Heraflight jumped the 40-48 competition NPO1 and now sits 9th out of 10, but having cleared that car and gotten a few laps under their belt, maybe here in the last 7 minutes or so, is an opportunity to put some decent laps in here. There is a lot to be gained to get into the mix of the round 3 and automatic entries in particular, looking for about 6 seconds. But knowing that it's out there on the table, it may be possible. Lap time improvement from PMW Motorsports 219.712 unfortunately does not improve position. Stuck right there in the mid 219s behind Stoic and ahead of the Moorhead Speedworks number 291. Let's jump on board with one of our GTO entrants here. Dealer's choice, Dustin, as to where you'd like to go. I think we're following 72 around, so we'll go to the 669. Let's take a ride on board Sebring International Raceway here with the Ligier JS2R down on the brakes into turn number 7. This is that Rapscallion entry. Up through the gears out of the what's now the safety pin, or has been the safety pin since it was instituted in 1999, I think was year 1 for that corner. Accelerate again up towards turn number 10, bring the car back to the left on the brakes, right at around the 300 banner. The car turned down to the apex and come back in the throttle early. Try and straight line to the apex at turn number 11. Continue the left-handed bend there. Turn 12 is this little right-hand kick that nobody talks about because it sets you up for turn 13, the tower turn. You can drop into as much elevation change as there is here at Sebring International Raceway with some concrete that's in kind of a depression there at the apex. Use that to slingshot yourself through the corner, down the straightaway through the left-handed kinks at turn 14, and then 15 and 16 here. Right, left, right up against the curb there. Cross the yellow line on the left-hand side, and get on the throttle as early as you can. Let the car track out over that exit curb. But the longest straightaway on the track here, you make a case that turn 16, most important corner on the track, just because of this long acceleration zone here down the back straightaway. 132. Do we click 133? Yes, we do. Brush the wall there to the driver's right side as you make your way into 17. Find your way through the corner. Not too far to the inside, not too far to the outside. Probably a little bit there to pull in there from driver's right. And do we improve here? 223.009 is an improvement from Rapscallion. Making their way into turn 1. A little late back to the throttle there, but still kind of feeling this car out. It's not a car that races in any other series around Sebring International Raceway, this Ligier JS2R, so really kind of figuring it out for themselves here. It's also the only Ligier left in the World Racing League, off-leash motorsports, which debuted the JS2R here at Sebring, actually, I think now 2 years ago, 2023, has moved on to a Mercedes-AMG GT4, and I believe also this Porsche 991 Cup that we're anticipating seeing this weekend. Oh, up scoots the Ginetta G56. Checkered flag is out on the session. Now that's about 3 minutes early. So is this because we've got a car that's got to be recovered from around the Sebring International Raceway? I don't see any lights on safety vehicles, and as we ride around here, perhaps it'll reveal itself. But yeah, 126. Normally we get right to 130, which is itself a shortening of what was a previously a 35-minute practice session in this time slot. Of course, it goes to GT qualifying now. So I'll tell you what, Moorhead Speedworks got a lap in just in time there. 2:18.179 puts that car P6, and if it wasn't held up too badly on the run down into turn number 7 by this Rapscallion Ligier, then there is another opportunity to improve here. I don't think they took the checkered flag. Did either of these cars across the line? Any other improvements down in GTU? Yes, there are. Stratus 58 hangs on to pole with a 2:15.2. Stratus 60 and 59 both improve in second and third. Automatic 908 was able to jump Roberts Racing in the number 109 and go P4 with a 2:17.1. It's a really good lap for that 908 to break what was otherwise just kind of a rinse and repeat with the teams in GTU, including Automatic and Round 3 Racing. Roberts Racing back to P5, Round 3 Racing number 1 and 10, P6 and P7. Before we get back to the 909 from Automatic Racing in P8, already into the pit lane. Heraflight did get down to a 2:21.4, so the gradual increase in pace has been there. Unfortunately, still about 2.4 seconds off the back of the next car ahead. Watch for that car early tomorrow morning, dear viewer. Orange and black NPL1 will be something of a rocket ship, I think. Hopefully not literally, bearing in mind what happened in the early stages back there at Watkins Glen. But 40-48 competition will round out the field in GTU. 10 cars in that class. That is this weekend exclusively Sebeco NPO1s. Round 3 Racing does hang on to the GTO class pole. A 2:15.759 is the class pole time there in GTO. That's about a second and a half clear of the off-leash motorsports number 40, Mercedes-AMG GT4, who will line up on the outside of the front row in GTO. ACP Tangerine Associates number 2 stays P3 alongside the FPRS Motorsports number 91 in P4. So as we said earlier, it's Porsche, Mercedes, BMW, Ford across the top 2 rows. You do love to see it in the WRL. Forza Motorsport, the number 144, rounds out your top 5 in another BMW M4 G82 GT4 car. Moorhead Speedworks in the Ginetta sits P6 ahead of the Stoic Racing number 87 Toyota Supra, which makes it 6 manufacturers in the top 7 for us here in GTO. Stanton Barrett Motorsports in number 130 sits P8 in the F82 BMW M4 GT4. So technically that's, I guess, 7 different models of car in the, or specs of car, let's say, in the top 8 there in GTO. 52 from ACP Tangerine Associates goes P9, and then the number 72 of PMW Motorsports rounds out your top 10. Hamofa Motorsport ended up settling on a 221.767, so still some time to gain there for the Belgian outfit in that number 419. And then Rapscallion, number 669, did improve down to that 223.009 we saw earlier. It does round out the field there. 12 cars in GTO setting times. Likely to see at least 1, possibly 2 more cars in that class, bearing in mind we didn't get the number 163 from Random Vandals out on track in this session. Nor did we get that off-leash Motorsports Porsche GT3 Cup number 41. So should be 14 cars in that class when we throw the green flag tomorrow. 9 cars, 10 cars this weekend in GTU. And you can catch it all here on DriversEye Live tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Eastern. One more session to go. However, before we get to say our goodbyes here and turn our attention towards tomorrow, it's general production qualifying, GP1 and GP2. Similarly sized grids here, about another 21 cars or so to set times to decide the pole position in each of those 2 classes. That'll take our green flag, a separate green flag just behind those Grand Touring cars that we just saw qualify here. We'll step aside as HPDE session number 4 rolls on here from Sebring International Raceway. 2:20 is our restart time here for the next and final qualifying session of this Friday afternoon from the Fall Sportscar Classic at Sebring International Raceway. Stay with us here. Take a break, go get yourself a beverage, and settle in. Continue to enjoy your Friday afternoon, and join us for general production qualifying here in just about 45 minutes from Sebring International Raceway. I'll be back with you then. Welcome back to an increasingly warm, increasingly cloudy Sebring International Raceway, the spiritual home of sports car and endurance racing in North America, and a place once lovingly described by yours truly as, quote, 2 hours from everywhere. Smack in the middle of Florida here for 15 hours of racing action. But before we get that far, of course, we have to qualify. We've already done and dusted the GTO, GTU qualifying sessions, and now the sun just begins to drop a little bit further in the sky to the south and west. We have general production cars on track, about 20 to 22 cars total across GP1. 12 cars entered there, 9 cars entered in GP2. And this session, not likely to play out exactly the same as we saw in GTO, GTU, where it was mostly quick times early on. This should, because the single supplier Continental tires are generally more consistent across a full day of racing, never mind just a 30-minute qualifying session, we do see pretty consistent improvement throughout these sessions, and do tend to see some pretty quick times be put in a little bit later on. Cars on their out lap, circulating the 3.7-mile layout. They'll come back to start-finish here and begin the first flyer of what will probably be 8 or 9 representative laps here. Appreciate you being with us on this fine Friday afternoon. As cars work through turns 15 and 16. Jean de Bien Bend, Le Mans, down the Ullman Straight, and round to turn 17. Through Sunset Bend, the original Sunset Bend, the only true Sunset Bend. Burt Brothers Motor Park, simply an imposter. And head down the front straight away. HK Motorsports, the number 221, is the lead car in your shot there. See one of the open throttle cars working its way into turn 1 there as well. Busy weekend for the open throttle gang, headed up by Mike Gorman, running the HSR Classic 24 up in Daytona. Has the official open throttle racing shuttle going all weekend as well for drivers that are running in both. Crews attempting to support both as well. Pretty cool weekend, and hopefully if Mike is here this weekend, we'll have a chance to chat about that. Once upon a time, they were on back-to-back weekends. DriversEye Live was involved in both. However, all eyes on Sebring this weekend. Be myself and JT Tammy joining you tomorrow for most of the coverage. With our usual rotating cast of guests. If you're here in the paddock, feel free to stop by and say hello. Knock out some interview, maybe some guest commentary, and work our way through the 15 hours of racing. Dustin Otlis is with us as well on the 1s and 2s up in the mountains of Tennessee, where, you know, Dustin, I didn't mention this earlier. Wasn't there a football game in Tennessee last weekend? I believe they played a football game in the hills of Tennessee last weekend. Somebody played a football game. Boomer Sooner, baby. Heck yeah. Dustin can end this with a single click. All he needs to do is uncheck the output feed, and all of a sudden we're all in the dark here. Anyway, GP1 cars coming back through the final sector here at Sebring. 5 minutes already gone on the 30-minute clock in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, and we await the arrival of proper lap times here in GP1. Really smart-looking 240 IR at the front of this group headed in towards start-finish. It's a 664, a new entry from Rapscallion that goes P1 initially into the 230s. Open Throttle 64 displaces them before they are displaced by PC Racing. The number 44, 227.466. So 2.5 seconds clear of that number 64 from Open Throttle. It's a tremendous time from PC Racing. HK Motorsports in the 231s. So it's a spread of about 4 and some change seconds there in GP1. Initial offering from GP2, it's Palomar Racing in the number 83. E36 that goes P1 at 232.9. AOA Racing in the number 851, 235.7. We jump on board that HK Motorsports number 221 down to the apex really nicely there at turn number 7. Back up through the gears through the Fangio chicane. Not much of a chicane these days, of course. It's the right and left sweeper at 8 and 9. Hug the white line on driver's left. Right down to about 300 to 400 there. Get it down through the gears. This does look to be a push lap from the 221. There should be an improvement as they head into the second half of the lap. Up to tower turn. You can actually see just on the left side as they turn into the corner there. Ooh, car off. Is that Lagunatic, number 779 over there? At turn 13? There's a blue, like a blue rear end of the car. And it's obviously not the Rapscallion car because that's the 644 directly ahead of us. Somebody off to driver's left there at the exit of turn number 13. And unfortunately, that camera has succumbed to the heat and sunlight this afternoon. Let's see what the improvement looks like here and whether or not that car at 13 was able to get going once again. I was going to say over there at turn 13, you can actually see the old control tower that they used to use here at Sebring International Raceway, which it turns out has exactly as many paid air traffic controllers as literally any other tower in the country. Crazy. Black flag all. So that car over at turn 13 has obviously not managed to continue. Now, unfortunately here, I guess, I think these times are going to count. There's a group of cars that came to start-finish there, including this 221. The 44 was in there. The 927 from Fast Track Racing was in there. There's a gaggle of like 4 cars that came through to take the black flag. The first place they would have seen it was at start-finish. Now, in professional racing, when you see a red flag, which is kind of the equivalent of what we use the black flag here for here in the World Racing League, times stop immediately because you're required to slow down. Here, I mean, you're required to slow down when you see the black, but if you don't see the black till start-finish, you keep your foot in it. I wonder if those times are going to stand here. I have a suspicion they're going to. Certainly they updated on redmist.racing. And Fast Track Racing up into second with that lap there coming to the black flag. 228.5. PC Racing improved the provisional pole time to a 227.2 as they came to the flag. Rapscallion improved to a 229.7. So improved the time but not the position. Open Throttle Racing, the number 64 sits P4, and then the number 38 of Palomar Racing sits P5. Round out here the GP1 field here quickly after just 1 or 2 laps from most of our entrants. We are still showing green flag over on timing, by the way, which is why it still is green up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, but you see at the corner stations around the track very much on a black flag all situation here. GP1 rounds out with HK Motorsports, AOA Racing number 85, Bruce Innovations 333, Bruce 24, which is that ex-Montgomery car, and then the Bruce Innovations number 555, which has not made it back to the pit lane yet. GP2, as we said earlier, Palomar Racing number 83 is your provisional pole sitter, featuring a slightly modified rear wing design this weekend, I just noticed. So maybe get the chance to chat about that, get some details there. I am intrigued. 851 of AOA Racing sits second, Rebel Racing number 222 into third, Rockwell Autosport Development number 715, not back into the pit lane yet. Great to have Rockwell back in the paddock in that, I believe it's Boxster still at 715. And then BSI Racing in the number 167. It is a Boxster. BSI Racing rounds out the top 5 in GP2. You may remember, dear viewer, that we had a Toyota GT86 from Kerdog Racing that was listed as hashtag not a GR Cup. I can say with certainty that BSI car is very much a Toyota GT86 GR Cup. One of the first examples of that car we've seen in GP2, but it does fit rather nicely into that class and up into the top 5 right off the bat here. AOA Racing 55 in 6th, Open Throttle Racing number 65 into P7, the Captain America car. Cajun Canuck Racing in the number 999 into P8. Interesting combination there. I have some thoughts on that. More to come. BRD Motorsports, the number 164 in 9th, and the Laguna taking the 779 in 10th. That car has not made it back to pit lane, and it is the only car on timing that's not listed as having tripped the pit loop here. So my initial guess at that 779 car being the one off over there at turn number 13 appears to be correct, which is very interesting in the GP2 championship. Now, qualifying doesn't matter so much. However, they are the GP2 points leader, and any kind of lingering issues, if there was an impact over there or any other sorts of technical issues with that car, really can throw the cat amongst the pigeons here. Rebel Racing is just 2 points behind with that number 222. Palomar Racing, number 83 on the provisional poll, another 2 points behind. It's 3 cars separated by 4 points total, 74, 72, and 70 respectively. So all to play for here in the final 2 rounds of the Eastern Region Championship. That's pretty much where my eyes are going to be fixed this weekend, I think, with regards to the final round of the regional championship here. Of course, the national championship to be decided at Circuit of the Americas in a month's time. The U.S. Endurance Championship, the traditional end to the World Racing League calendar, has been for a number of years now. And that was our introduction to the World Racing League way back in 2017 when we were still Endurance Radio and had even less of an idea what we were doing with video coverage and live streaming. If you're with us this weekend for qualifying, or this fine Friday afternoon for qualifying, remember, we still have racing action to come on Saturday and Sunday. 9 o'clock is our green flag time tomorrow morning. We'll be live about 10 minutes prior to that as the cars roll off the grid for the pair of pace laps, set the stage for you, and then flag-to-flag coverage of the initial 8-hour event. That's at 9 o'clock tomorrow, Eastern Time. And then Sunday, the 7-hour finale race of the weekend and of the championship at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So we bump up an hour earlier. It's an hour shorter, so we're done by 3 p.m. Eastern. So 9 o'clock Saturday, 8 o'clock Sunday for the 2 races that make up this weekend's Fall Sportscar Classic here at Sebring. Work continues over at turn number 13, although I see fewer flashing lights than I did a moment ago through the trees, which suggests to me that we may not be very far off a restart. Do wonder here. The Cavalry is headed out of turn 13 with the Laguna Tech number 779 on a flatbed, which is not ideal. And it is listed as having had an impact over there at 13 in the race control log. So, yeah, let's see what work needs to be done on that BRZ to get it turned around and ready to go. And exactly as we hit 15 minutes on the clock, the green flag waves at start finish, and cars should be released momentarily here towards turn number 1. You see it in the middle of your shot between the 2 Mobil 1 bridges. And the field led by, appears to be the Palomar number 38. It's teammate number 83 close in tow. that red car you just saw through your shot there, fifth car through the shot, was the Cajun Canuck car. Looks oddly like the Flying Fur, number 946. It's the red I actually couldn't tell from the detail there. I think it's an E36. Can be my guess based off the headlights. Actually, it is an E36. I'm pretty sure I saw it on... Why don't we just pull up the entry list, Brendan? Yeah, E36. Dustin, do you want to hear a fun fact? No, I'll save the fun fact for tomorrow. Cajun Canuck fun fact. It's one of the funnest facts I have, actually. Deserves a wider audience. Hello, everybody with us in the chat. Mike Anderson, who is our Palomar insider this weekend, and was last weekend as well, back at, or last race weekend back at Watkins Glen. Palomar 38 was thinking about a fuel stop next lap, so maybe able to, actually would not have been able to fuel right in the middle of the pit lane there. That's kind of awkward for Palomar, unless they were able to duck into their pit stall on the way through the lane and then pull down to the end. Mike, can we get details on the new rear wing on the 83? I'm intrigued. Can't imagine it's more efficient, but maybe it's just a better setup in general. Hello, Erwin, who joins us in the chat. Oh, man, I get to smack talk two people this weekend in sports. Dustin first, Erwin second. Oh, look at that. Welcome to Sebring. Helicopter headed... All right, let's do this again. 12 minutes on the clock. Palomar 38 first across the line. AOA 85. Palomar 83. All right in a row here, headed out of 17 and down into turn number 1. Mike says Palomar 83 is the factory lightweight setup. So just kind of returning to the original aero, one of the original aero options on that car. It did look kind of like those cars, the kind of trim they ran in, would have been like GT3 days back in the mid-90s. Which is crazy to think about, that these were professional sports car racing cars now 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. BC Motorsports fan joins us in the chat. Is BC Motorsports fan a Cajun Canuck fan? Who can say? Obviously, these outlaps don't count for anything. 7 minutes, 23 on the clock. So it was about a 4-minute stoppage there. Once we got everybody back into the pit lane, quick recovery by the Allen J safety team. And tire bundles being returned to the operations facility here in the infield. Or coming down the midway anyway. So the 85 slows a little bit. The BMW M2 from AOA Racing. Now that car was right with the Palomar number 38 BMW headed down the front straightaway into turn number 1. And yeah, a couple of corners in, just kind of backed out of it. And cruising back around to the pit lane, presumably. Time we're aiming for in GP1, remember, is a 2:27.209. It's 1.3 seconds that everybody's going to have to find at least to get up to that number 44 of PC Racing. As our initial, or our pack leaders anyway, work their way through turns 15 and 6. I love this shot so much. For years, we had it way up on a photo gantry there on the outside of turn number 16, and it did show you a lot. It was also really far away from everything, and this it shows just how much the cars move, how much they roll back from right to left to right. The bumps, the camber change, it's a little bit off camber entry to turn 16 shows that really well. Just shows how hard these cars work lap after lap around the Sebring International Raceway. First couple of cars across the line, Palomar 38, 230.202. So it is an improvement up into P5. Palomar 83 resets the GP2 time, a provisional pole time at 2:31.9, and it's almost 4 seconds clear of the AOA Racing number 851. No improvements from second, third, and fourth. PC Racing immediately back into the pit lane. So it's just out and in for that number 44. Wonder what the move is here, whether they're just going to ride on that 227-2, see if anybody else can come get them. At the moment, it doesn't seem highly likely. A lot of cars right in the mid-230s. Palomar 38, HK Motorsports number 221 we're riding on board with now. Let's stick with this for a lap here. On the brakes, down into one, down a couple of gears, 80 miles an hour at the apex with that zero board on driver's left, way up onto the fence. Try and get the car unloaded by the time you ride over the pretty substantial bump from concrete back to asphalt. At the exit of 1 through 3, a couple of pavement changes, another one here at the apex of 5. Mid-corner on the way into turn number 5 is the choice here for the driver of the 221. It's not always the preferred line there, but it can work if you get back to the throttle early enough. Riding in the middle of the road, fade back to the left-hand side, down a couple of gears to lowest corner on the track at turn number 7. Straight line the exit, over that exit curb on the left. Very aggressive serrated curbs there on the left-hand side, but you've got to use it. Just want to make sure the car's not really loaded up there, because you can do a half shaft in there if you're not careful. Before head up the gears and back down again on the way into turn number 10. Right-hander, pair of left-handers accelerating up to where we just recovered that Laguna Tech number 779 from. Get it right to the apex, but don't touch the curb. Back in the throttle early, probably just a touch late on the loud pedal for the number 221. Down the straightaway towards turn 14. Pair of left-handers just bouncing off the rev limiter, and where you see the grass, brake on the left-hand side there. Turn into 15. Again, off camber on the way into turn 16. Get it pointed down to the apex curb. Back to the throttle as early as you can. Does not use the exit curb there out of turn number 16. It can hinder your momentum. So if you get back to the throttle early enough and keep it on the pavement there on the way out of Le Mans, down the back straightaway, it can help. Only a couple of mile an hour slower than the GTO cars down the Ullman Straight. Off the throttle for most of the run into turn number 17. A lot of time to be gained or lost there at 17. And as HK Motorsports number 221 comes across the line, do they improve? No. Stays at 230.728. So not ultimately the quickest, but very consistent so far. Fast Track Racing has improved in the number 927. Stays second, but it's into the 227s to match the PC Racing car, at least in the seconds bracket. Still almost 8 tenths behind that blue BMW. Rapscallion number 644 sits in third with the M240, alongside on the second row provisionally, the Open Throttle Racing number 64 BMW, which has not improved since its original lap was a 229.9. Just hasn't quite gotten back to that number. Palomar number 38 slips to fifth, 230.202. 1,000th of a second separates the HK car in sixth from the Bruce Innovations number 333 in seventh, 230.515 versus 516. And then it's a 230.7 from AOA Racing, the number 85. That M2, remember, was slow on the second outlap when we resumed action here about 10 minutes ago. Came back into the pit lane, has not returned. Bruce Innovations 555, P9, Bruce number 24 in 10th. And then the Blaze Racing number 118 way down in P11. Remember that car won the Midwest Championship in GP1 after getting their first WRL win, sweeping the weekend at Utah, and jumping from third to first across 15 hours of racing at their home track. Ooh, awkward moment there for the number 164, I think that'll be, from BRD. That's second place in GP2, taking the fight to the Palomar entry, just 0.2 of a second behind, not even, in the battle for the GP2 class pole. It does stay with the Palomar car, and I think with that wiggle out of turn number 15, it's not likely to switch to the BRD Motorsports number 164, but let's see what the lap time is. Obviously trying to get some pace out of that BMW. Rebel Racing in the 222 stays third, also in that GP2 points fight for the Eastern region. AOA Racing 851 in fourth, and then the Cajun Canuck number 999 nicely into fifth. BRD, does not improve that time. 234.5. AOA did improve last time through the 235.720. Ooh, Blaze Racing from 11th to 4th in GP1, a 229.748. Gets them onto the outside of the second row provisionally. Really good lap time there out of the black and yellow BMW E36. Displaces the open throttle number 64 back to P5. Next car across the line in front of me here is PC Racing, so they did make it back out here. Don't know that they were being pushed here as such by some of the other cars to try and get themselves a little more breathing room here in this fight for pole. Still 7/10 clear, but if you got the opportunity to do 2 more laps here and give it a go, I suppose you might as well. Continental tires that are fitted to all GP1 and GP2 cars are incredibly durable, so putting an extra couple of laps on them isn't necessarily going to hurt you. You could also just as easily use these tires tomorrow morning when we get started, and it'd be just fine right the way through the 8 hours. Bruce Innovations leading the open throttle number 65 round, the 15 and 16 complex. JT Tammy in the chat, who will join me on the mics tomorrow. The backstraight view won't be the same with the new bridge. I have questions about the new bridge, namely the fact that it's currently going to just connect the paddock, I guess, with the spectator area. So are we going to have a spectator corridor through the paddock? Is the paddock just going to be open? Has it always been open? It just seems an odd thing to parade a bunch of people through the paddock or have a spectator bridge spit people out into a paddock. We'll see. I'm glad they're giving people new opportunities to view from driver's left on the backstretch, though. The new viewing mound, and it is just a small hill, really, over at turn 16 is quite nice. And they've paved, or I guess kind of gravel and rolled and smoothed out very much the access lane that goes through that backstretch camping area down to turn number 16. It's really, really nice. New CEO of Sebring International Raceway, Matt Muha, doing some work in investing in the spectator experience here at Sebring. Listen, I still think Petit Le Mans is the best sports car race in the country, but it's difficult to argue with the consistent upgrades that are being made in Sebring and just what this place means, and the fact that over the last couple of years here, we've now built up a spectator experience that really matches what this event is all about, or what the 12-hour is all about anyway. Obviously, we get to do some of that here, the World Racing League as well. As we head towards zeros on the clock, don't anticipate this session being extended any with that long gap in the middle, but I don't see a checkered flag in the hands of our starter across from where I stand here above the pit lane. Still no checkered flag, so we make it a couple extra minutes out of this one. Do we have any improvements? Yes, from HK Motorsports, who goes from P6, I think it was, now up to P5, 229.914 is their new best time on lap number 8. Changes in GP2. It's still Palomar BRD Rebel in the top 3. AOA Racing number 851, that's the Mazda MX-5 NC, is up into P4 now. Cajun Canuck resets their quick time to stay P5, but obviously dealing with the changes there, they've kind of reset P5, as it were. Rockwell Autosport Development and the number 715 goes P6 with a 236.3. And then the BSI Racing number 167, that GR86 now sits P7 with a 237.344 as their quick time. Another improvement from Bruce Innovations 555 gets them down to a 231 flat, but they stay 10th. And now the checker flag waves. So that'll do it. We'll watch these couple of these cars across the line. HK comes through but does not improve. Difficult to see any major improvements here at the end of the session. Open Throttle comes through, does not improve. And the number 64. Rapscallion comes through in the 644 and improves the time. Don't think they improved position, though. Blaze Racing, however, did. 229.143. So the car that was stone last in GP1 for the first 22 minutes of this session, all the way up to P3. Found some pace in that car. Maybe it was just the confidence coming out of Utah, but man, started to figure that E36 platform out and gunning for a national championship in GP1 as well. Still 4 race finishes to go there, but right up to P3 for tomorrow's initial 8 hours here at the Fall Sportscar Classic. I think we've got just about everybody across the line here. Certainly anybody that's pushing for lap time. So let's begin to run down our starting positions in GP1, GP2. We'll wrap things up here from our Friday action at Sebring International Raceway and then be on our way. Your GP1 pole sitter, provisionally, the number 44, PC Racing BMW E46. Pole time is a 227.209. They'll start alongside the number 927 Fast Track Racing BMW M240. That finished with a time of 227.998. So the only 2 cars in the 27s will start side by side on the front row at the green flag tomorrow. Blaze Racing number 118, as we said, up into 3rd, about a 10th clear of the Rapscallion number 644 on debut with that M240 IR outside of the 2nd row. Bruce Innovations number 333, BMW sits 5th alongside the number 221 HK Motorsports. BMW separated there by less than a 10th of a second as well. Open Throttle Racing in the number 64. That's the all-green car alongside Palomar Racing number 38, who, after sitting up in the top 2 or 3 for most of the session, ended up dwindling or falling all the way down to P8 outside of row number 4, first car in the 230s. Half a second clear of the AOA Racing number 85 M2, P9. The Bruce Innovations number 555 winds up in P10, just ahead of the number 24 Bruce Innovations car. That 235 wraps up with a time of 2 minutes 32.0 to go shotgun on the GP1 field. GP2 pole sitter is the number 83 of Palomar Racing. We'll start alongside the BRD Motorsports number 164, 0.2 of a second to choose between them, but the Palomar car, the only one to break the 232 barrier in qualifying today. Rebel Racing in the GP2 points fight as well. Starts inside of the 2nd row with a 233.296, 2 seconds clear of the AOA Racing number 851 Mazda in the 235s. Cajun Canuck Racing and the number 999 inside of row number 3 alongside Rockwell Autosport Development. Number 715 go outside of row number 3 in that Porsche Boxster. BSI Racing in the GT86, number 167. Inside of row number 4 alongside Open Throttle Racing in the 65 BMW in P8. Last row of the grid is AOA Racing, the number 55, and the car that's got the most questions hanging over it headed into tomorrow now appears to be the Lagunatic Racing number 779, recovered from an impact over at turn 13, leading the GP2 championship. Let's see what tomorrow morning holds for us and whether or not that BRZ is repairable for this final weekend of the Eastern Region Championship for the World Racing League. Tomorrow, we go racing, dear viewer. Join us here on the World Racing League YouTube channel for the Fall Sportscar Classic. Begins at 9 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, and it is Eastern Standard Time now, of course. We'll be live about 10 minutes prior to that with just a little bit of pre-race as the cars work around their 2 pace laps before we throw the green flag for 8 hours of flag-to-flag coverage here from Sebring International Raceway. So do join us for that tomorrow. Tune in, tune out as you need to, but we are racing towards sunset and racing towards championship awards here in the World Racing League. So I will see you all tomorrow at 9 o'clock, along with JT Tammy and Dustin Ollis, who has guided us through these Friday qualifying sessions with expertise. I'm Brendan Kazmarek, and until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, everybody, thanks for being with me, and take care.